Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thank you very much, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, very important book of knowledge, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So Krishna Katha means hearing about Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. So we are going to start today's Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Before we start, we will have a recap of the session one, little bit of, as a quick glance of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So what is the glories of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching, as we are all Gaudiya Vaishnavas, means follower of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaching in nutshell was spoken by the, it was recorded by Swarup Damodar Goswami, and in a book called Manjusa, that is spoken by, that is written by, mentioned by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this conclusive opinion is that Aradhya Bhagavana Brajasya Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kaschid Upasana Brajabadu Bragena Jakalpite Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Very important here, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumartam Hansi Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matam Midam Tatra Dharana Paraha. So here it is mentioned that it is conclusive opinion of Lord Chaitanya that Sri Krishna is Bhajendra Nandan, Aradhya, subject of worship. So our object of worship is Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. And his dham, his transcendental abode, Vrindavan, is also topmost, is also worshipable. It is the expansion of Krishna and non-different from him. So it is highest worshipable abode is his dham Vrindavan. Upasana means worship, the best of worship, or highest example of worship. What is that highest example of worship? Ramya Kaschid Upasana Brajabadhu Vargena Yakalpita, means the highest example of worship of Sri Krishna is what is exampled by the gopis, which is performed by the Braja gopis. And Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Amalam Pramanam. That is the point where we are now, focusing on. Amalam means very spotless. Now, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is a spotless evidence. Pramanam is evidence, authority. Spotless authority for knowing the absolute truth. We cannot know Krishna, understand Krishna, can know Krishna by any other literature. So it is a spotless evidence, authority to understand Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. That is the opinion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prema Pumartham Mahan means the goal of life is pure love of Godhead. Or Krishna Prema is the fifth and highest goal of life. So this is the teaching of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in nutshell. So here it is stated that Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Pramanam Amalam. Therefore, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is very, very important book of knowledge. And in another places where Rupa Goswami has described the 64 limbs of bhakti, out of 64 there are 5 prominent Panchanga bhakti, or 5 prominent and potent form of bhakti. Out of this 5 one is Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtana, Bhagavata Sravana, Mathura Vasa, Simurtira Sradaya Sevana. Sadhu Sangha is associated with devotees. Nama Kirtana is chanting the holy name of the Lord. Bhagavata Sravana, here it is called, here Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is hearing is very important. Even as I posted you that 116, Srila Prabhupada said that reading is okay, but hearing and explaining it is more important to assimilate Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. That is very, very important. Hearing and explaining it. And reside at Mathura, worship the deity with faith and veneration. This is from Sisi Madhya 22:1-8. The Panchanga, the 5 potent forms of bhakti. Sakala sadhana sreshta ei panchanga Krishna prema janmaya panchera alpasanga. These 5 limbs of devotional service are the best of all. Even a slight performance of these 5 awakens love for Krishna. Slight performance, even little bit of we know about Bhagavatam. Therefore, we have introduced this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam as a thematic study. Themes, because Śrīmad Bhāgavatam has contained 12 canto, which has 335 chapters. So it's a huge, it's comprehensive. So a thematic basis, if we go, we may be completing it in 1.5 years. So if we know that little bit of overview of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, still it will give all success, all perfection. It is mentioned by Rupa Goswami. Therefore, the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is very, very important. And one of the most important thing about glories of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, glories and characteristic of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, it represents the limb of Sri Krishna transcendental body. That means it is the embodiment of Sri Krishna. In Padma Purana, Srila Vyasadeva himself has quoted that Padau Yado Prathama Diteu means the first and second canto of Bhagavatam is Sri Krishna lotus feet. Tirtya Tureyu Kathayu Ad Uru. The third and fourth canto are thighs. The fifth canto is naval, navis tata panchama. The sixth canto is the chest, eva sastaha. Sastasta. Vujantaram Darajugalam Tathano. Seventh and eighth cantos are arms of the Lord. Ninth canto is throat. 10th canto is the beautiful lotus face of Lord Krishna. Mukharavindam dasamam prafulam. Then 11th canto is his forehead. And the 12th canto his head. So all this 12th canto is the different limbs of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord Krishna. So therefore it is the embodiment of Krishna, non-different from Krishna. And why I should hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam? Because Tadadi Devam Karunanidadam Tamalabannam Suitavatara. Because Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is non-different from Krishna. It will help us to apara sansara samudra setum. I have now drowned in this material ocean. And Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is like a breeze, so that I can easily cross this insurmountable ocean of material existence. So that's why I should hear. I bow down to that Lord, the ocean of mercy, whose color is like a tamala tree, who appears in the world for the welfare of all. I worship him as the bridge for crossing the unfathomable ocean of material existence. So the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is non-different. Krishna Tulya Bhagavata. Krishna Tulya Bhagavata is like Krishna. Therefore, the Vyasadeva is bowing down to the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, or bowing down to the Lord, and who appears as a Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, so that we can, it's like a bridge for crossing the unfathomable ocean of material existence. So very important. Therefore, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam hearing is very important. We have drowned here. We have no way to get out, to swim across this unfathomable, insurmountable ocean. So Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is like a breeze and we can easily cross this unfathomable ocean. That is a beautiful verses from Padma Purana. And because I have already sent you the materials, study materials, glories of Bhagavatam from different literatures, different scriptures. So I am just giving a gist of this. So if somebody say, I do not want to hear Bhagavatam. So who does not hear Bhagavatam, what will happen? Tavat sansara chakrasmin brahmate jitanjali puman yavat karena gatanasti gudasastra katha khanam. The Bhagavata Mahapurana is discoursed by Sri Sukadeva Goswami. If not had even just for a few seconds, make this life circle around the wheel of worldly matters due to affliction of ignorance. So here it is said that if somebody is Tavas Sansara Chakra, means if somebody is not hearing Bhagavatam, that means he cannot get out from the cycle of birth and death. On the other end, if one hears Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, what will happen? Sadasebhya Śrīmad Bhāgavata iti katha jasya sravana matrena haris chittam samasriyat. This also has been mentioned in many places in Bhagavatam also. This is from Padma Purana. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam must be read and heard at every step. Sadasebhya. Just by hearing or reading it, Supreme Lord Krishna himself manifests in the heart. Hari, the Supreme, we are supposed to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. But when you hear about Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Supreme Lord himself takes shelter of our heart. That means Supreme Lord himself approaches and takes shelter in our heart. That means Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Hari Katha attracts the Hari. So that is the tremendous benefit of hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Therefore, it is recommended by Srila Vyasadeva, the author in Padma Purana, also repeated by Kumara, the 4 Kumaras to Narad Muni at Haridwar. Sadasebhya Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Katha. Just Sravana Matram, simply by hearing, the Lord will come and take shelter in our heart or manifest in the heart. That is the so paramount importance of hearing, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So therefore, the author of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam recommended to everyone in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 1 to 18. We always recite it before we start the Bhāgavatam. That nasta prayesu abhadresu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in the classes of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental song, is established as an irrevocable fact. So here it is said that by regular attendance in the classes of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, that by hearing the Bhāgavatam classes, so by hearing the Bhāgavatam classes, what will happen? That all that is troublesome to the heart almost completely destroyed. Means our problem is here in the material world. Our problem in the heart, so many problem in the heart means all the dirty thing infected by the modes of material nature. So it will be almost clear when you hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Unless the dirty things, all the infection is cleared, we are not cured of disease of material existence. We cannot get the bhakti. Bhakti cannot be approached in mode of passion and ignorance. We cannot attain bhakti. Naistiki bhakti means fixed up bhakti, when we are in mode of goodness and passion and ignorance. So passion and ignorance means an infection. So we have to come to mode of goodness. Then later we have to also transcend and come to the mode of Suddha Sattva, Vasudeva Tattva, transcendental goodness. So Bhāgavatam, hearing what it will do, it will all the mode of passion and ignorance, all the dirty thing in the heart, all the infection in the heart will be cleansed. Nasta prayesu means almost all the abhadrami, infection will be cleared by hearing. And in this way, we will fix up with bhakti or Krishna consciousness. So that is the benefit. Therefore, it is recommended that every day we should hear. Every day, Nasta prayesu, not this Bhagavata Saptah. Regularly we should hear Bhagavatam. Then we will see that how a drastic changes happen to us, as Krishna has promised that I will come and take shelter of your heart. So we are going to start the chapter 1. Chapter 1 is question by sages. This is the first chapter. Actually, before we start, a little bit of about the history of Bhagavatam, although the history of Bhagavatam is there in chapter 5 onwards, but just a glimpse of the, glance of the history of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is spoken by Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. And again, it is repeated by Suta Goswami at the to the sages, headed by Saunaka Rishi at Naimisarana. So the first conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, although Bhagavatam is spoken by different Kumara also spoke to Narad Muni, 4 Kumaras. The Maitra spoke to Vidura. Krishna spoke to the Uddhava. In this way, Uddhava and Maitra. In this way, there are 4 or 5 branches of, branches of this disciplic succession of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. But most authoritative is Sukadeva Goswami, because when Parikshit Maharaj, a death-bound king, he was caused to die in 7 days. So he gave up all the kingdom and took shelter at the Ganges, at the bank of Ganges, because Hastinapur was his capital. So he gave up everything, gave up his kingdom. He came out, as a mendicant, and he was taking shelter of, he was sitting at the bank of the Ganges, and he was fasting unto death because he has a notice period of 7 days. Then so many sages heard about the news because he was the king, Chakravarti Samrat, is the emperor actually that time. That time the India was only one country, Bharatavarsha. Not there are so many countries. There is one country in the world. So it was ruled by Parikshit Maharaj as a Chakravarti Samrat or emperor. So by hearing that emperor has given up all his wife, children, house, because the death is approaching, he was caused by the death, 7 days he is going to be die. Therefore, all the sages from different parts of the world, they came, and the Parikshit Maharaj was there, and he was asking that what is the best course, what is the best action to be done by anyone who is at the time of death, not at the time of death, when at the 11th of our death, or at the and approaching death. So he was asking this question, and Sukadev Goswami came there as an authoritative, a young devotee, 16 years old. He came and he showed the path of immortality to Parikshit Maharaj. In this way, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is spoken, and in that place where the initially Śrīmad Bhāgavatam spoken by Sukadev Goswami, that place is called Sukratala. So near the bank of Ganges, that time the Sutta Goswami was also there. Apart from all the great sages like Narada, Parsuram, and also Parasara Muni, there's so many great sages also were present there. Along with the Sutta Goswami was there. Sutta Goswami heard this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Now he is repeating this to Naimisarana, the sages of Naimisarana. Because the sages of Naimisarana, they were actually doing the fire sacrifice for 1,000 years, understanding that Kali, the age of Kali is approaching, and it is very abominable age, and it will take away all the goodness from the people. There are a lot of misery, lot of suffering. To mitigate that suffering, because sages are very concerned about the well-being of the people in general. So mitigate that suffering, they were doing fire sacrifice. At that time, Sutta Goswami approached, and they were asking them that, what is the best thing? What is the best and ultimate good for the people in general? So there are so many questions has been asked. And in this chapter, the question, 6 questions asked by the sages. And this 6 question is answered in the chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 of Canto 1. So today we'll just cover the chapter 1, then next session, chapter 2 and chapter 3. So all this 6 question has been answered in 3 chapters. Then further they ask some question, and that is the base of the rest of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Therefore, it is said that Bhāgavatam is a conversation between Sukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Sukha Sambad, Sukha Parikshit Sukha Sambada. So this is a conversation between Sukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, which has been repeated again by Sutta Goswami to sages of Naimisarana. So in Canto 1, chapter 1, there are so many themes are there, primarily, predominantly 4 themes are there. First 3 verses is very important. That is prelude to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, because this is an invocation prayer or Mangalacharan. So this is prelude to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. And the next one is setting scene where sages are assembled at Naimisaranya, and the Sutta Goswami is approaching there. Then they are requesting to speak about the ultimate good, that is Bhāgavatam. And the third theme is qualification of Sutta Goswami, because the Bhāgavatam cannot be spoken by anybody unless he is qualified. So what are the qualifications a person should have to speak this Bhāgavatam? That is very important to understand this, because Bhāgavatam is Uttama Sloko, Udgata Sloko. So this Uttama Sloko means the complete narration of the Supreme Lord, which is beyond the modes of material nature. So everybody cannot speak the Bhāgavatam unless he has got that qualification. We will go through that, what are the eligibility or qualification to speak the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. And 6 question asked by the sages, inquired by the sages. So this is the all four themes of the chapter 1. So the first prelude to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is the first 3 slokas are there. First sloka is description of the absolute truth, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So Bhāgavatam opening notes is explicitly defining who is this absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and what is his characteristic. That is the chapter first verse. And second verse of this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam establishes the glories of Bhāgavatam. What are the glories and characteristic and transformational effect of hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam? Second and third verse. Then setting sin, already I told you, so the setting sin. So we will go through the first theme first. Then I will send you this beautiful, these materials, you can go through it, easy to understand. So the first theme is prelude to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, or you can say that invocation prayer. First is the description of the absolute truth. What is the description of the absolute truth? First is starting with this beautiful verses, Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, the opening notes by Srila Vyasadeva, the compiler, that Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He is offering obeisances to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Vasudeva is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. So this particular first verse is opening up with offering obeisances to Supreme Lord, the Absolute Truth. Unless we know that who is this Absolute Truth, who is God, and what is his characteristic, then we cannot surrender unto him. So here it is explicitly, without any categorically, explicitly say that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. That has been described in many scriptures, like Brahmaji also say that Ishwara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha. Ishwara Parama Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Krishna himself said in Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita also, Mataha Parataram Nanyant Kinchid Asti Dhananjaya. Aham Adhri Devanam. So many verses. Aham Sarvasya Prabhava Mataha Sarvam Prabhatate. So here also the author Srila Vyasadeva has offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Absolute Truth, Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. Vasudeva, he's called Vasudeva. Janmadesya, then what is the characteristic of that Supreme Lord, Absolute Truth? So characteristic has been given in the second and rest of the verses, rest of the line of the verses. Janmadesya jata navayadita ratasya arthesu abhigya swarat. Janmadis, Janma means birth or creation. So first of all, Absolute Truth means who is truth in past, present, and future. We are relative truth. We may not be same in every birth. We may not be same in even in this birth also. We are changing, ever changing. In past, we may be somebody, we may be somebody else. Now I may be somebody else. In future, I may be in this birth. In future birth also, we may be somebody. But absolute truth meaning means the truth in past and present future is the same. Krishna is the same. Therefore, he is absolute truth. He is Supreme Personality of Godhead in past, present, and future. Our is relative truth. According to time, we are changing. Our truth is changing. I may be engineer. I was not engineer. I was a student. I become an engineer. Then I will retire. Just an example. So the relative truth changes, but absolute truth is no changes. It is same. And what is that? Janmadesya jataha means he is the causes of all causes. Karanam sarva karanam. Sarva karanam karanam. He is a Janmadi means creation, maintenance, destruction. So he is the causes of all causes. He is the creation, maintenance, and destruction. So this verse holds the characteristic of supreme absolute truth as a supreme cause. And anbayad means directly. Itarathasya means indirectly. Cha arthisu abhigyam swarat. He knows directly, indirectly, he knows or conscious about all the manifestation. First thing is Janmadesya Jata means he is causes of all causes, means he is the causes of all this manifestation. Second one is after he is manifesting all this material spiritual world, he aware of that, he is conscious of that, all his manifestation. Prabhupada has given an example of chief engineer. In a complicated construction, a chief engineer may not be directly participate, but he knows a nook and corner of the construction. Similarly, Krishna may not be directly participate. Maya is working here, so many agents are there. So they are responsible for all the things, but he is directly, indirectly, because Maya is under the direction of Krishna. So he is aware of everything, all his manifestation. He is conscious of, abhigyam is conscious, cognizant of all this, all his manifestation. And his swarat means supremely independent. There is no other cause beyond him. Why he is independent supremely? Because he is the cause of all causes. There is no cause beyond him. He is the supreme cause. Therefore, he is the independent. Why I am not independent? Because I am not the supreme cause. Therefore, I am not independent. I am controlled by the material nature. Prakriti kriya manini, gunai karmani sarvasva. So material nature is higher than me. Cause of my birth, cause of my sustenance, cause of my destruction. And material nature cause is Supreme Lord is the cause of material nature. Therefore, Supreme Lord is cause of all causes. Therefore, he is independent, supremely independent. I am minutely independent. So that is the thing of Abhigyam Swarat. Then Tena Brahma Hudaya Adikabaya Muhanti Yasuryaha. And this Vedic knowledge first imparted onto the heart of Brahma. Brahma is the first living being. Up to Brahma to Ant, everybody is conditioned souls. So Tene Brahma Hudaya Adikabaya. This Vedic knowledge has been imparted to the Brahma first. So therefore, Brahma is not actually the first creator. First, he is not actually the creator of this world. He has given the knowledge by the Lord, Supreme Lord, to create it. Sometimes they say that Brahma is creator. No. Even in third canto, Narada Muni is asking Brahma, are you the creator? Brahma says, no, I am not the creator. I got the knowledge from the Lord. So Lord has imparted the knowledge within the heart of Brahmaji. So Brahmaji created this. He is secondary creator. Therefore, here it is said that Tena Brahma Hudaya Adikaba Muhyanti yes Suryaha. Even the great sage demigod are placed into illusion. Muhyanti means illusion. Surya means all demigods. Krishna also saying in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, text 2, that, what is that? Chapter 10, text 2, Krishna say, these beautiful verses. I will go to there. Bhagavad Gita chapter text 10, 2. Text 2 is there. Name viddusura prabhavam na maharshya aham adhiri devanam maharsinam cha sarvasa. Name viddusura suragana means demigod. They do not know me. Prabhavam, my opulence, na maharshya, the great sages. Aham adhiri devanam, I am the origin of all demigods. And maharsinam means all sages. Cha sarvasa. So Krishna said, nobody know me, neither host nor the demigod. Neither the host of demigod nor the great sages know my origin or opulences. For in every respect, I am the source of demigods and sages. So here it is stated that in Bhāgavatam also, that Muhyanti Surya, these great personalities, like all the demigod, host of demigods, they also put into illusion, because they do not know me also. That is all the characteristic of absolute truth. First of all, he is a cause of all causes. He knows directly, indirectly about all his creation, all his manifestation. He is supremely independent. Fourth one is he imparted his knowledge to Brahma. And fifth one is all these demigods, great personality, they are put into illusion because they do not know Krishna properly. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Maruta Sunmanti Dibbastave Vede Sangopinesadar Gayantiyam Samaga Jnana Vasishta Tadgatena Manasa Pasyantiyam Jogina Jasanta Jasantana Vidu Surasaragana Debe. One of the verses it is said that Nate Vidu Sura, nobody knows Krishna. Great demigods like Lord Shiva and all, they also do not know the Lord. Therefore, they are placed into illusion. Then it is said that Tejavari Mirdam Jatha Binima Tatra Trisarga Misra Dhamna Senno Sada Nirasta Kukam Satyam Paramadhimai. So the absolute truth compares with respect to temporary manifestation appears factual, although they are unreal. So here it is stated that the absolute truth and this Tejavari Vedda means just like Prabhupada says that in a desert, sometimes they see that, oh, there is water, but there is no water. So similarly, absolute truth, they do not understand. They think that it is something illusion. It although the temporary manifestation appear to be real, actually it is not real, it is an illusion. But absolute truth is different. It is not illusion. Dhamna seno nirista kukam. It eternally exists in a transcendental abode. All the temporary manifestation is not actually real. It is just like a desert in water. It's a perverted reflection. 15.1 Bhagavad Gita. Just a perverted reflection. It is not real actually. Although it appears to be real. Oh, it is very near real. Everything is very going on very good. All the creation. But it is not real. It's just a temporary manifestation. Bhuta bhuta praliyate. But the absolute truth, which is eternally existence in his abode, dhamna sneno, it is free from sada. Sada means always. Nirasta kukam means always free from the illusion. So these are the characteristics of absolute truth, who is free from all illusory representation of the material world. And to that absolute truth, Supreme Lord, Satyam Paramadhimahi, I offer my obeisances. The author is offering obeisances to the Supreme Absolute Truth, Krishna or son of Vasudeva, because he is the cause of all causes. He knows, he is conscious about directly, indirectly about his creation, his manifestation, and he is supremely independent. He imparted the knowledge to Veda, Brahma, and all the demigods, great personality are placed in, they do not know him, therefore they are placed into illusion. And this temporary manifestation is distinguished from absolute reality. Although it appears to be real, but it is not real. But the absolute truth is eternally existent in his abode and free from all this illusory representation of the temporary world. So these are the 7 characteristics of this Supreme Personality of Godhead, Absolute Truth. So the Krishna is establishes here as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Absolute Truth. But Satyam Paramadhimahi. He is Satyam, is Absolute Truth. All other things is relative truth. So this verses is particularly explaining the nature and characteristic of Absolute Truth. Who is Absolute Truth? What is his nature and characteristic? And the second verses is establishing is the glories of Bhāgavatam. What is this glories of Bhāgavatam? That dharma projita kaitava atra param nirmasaranam satam. Dharma projita means completely rejected the material motivated religion. Why Bhāgavatam is very unique? Because it does not contain anything which is materially motivated. Exclusively devotion to Sri Krishna, Absolute Truth. Therefore, it is pretty much is a very highest. It is different from other things. The subject matter of Bhagavatam is completely, projita means rejected, prokesta rupena means completely rejecting. Prokesta rupena urjita is called projita. Kaitava means all cheating religion. Cheating religion means like dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Some materially motivated things are there, subject matter. But Śrīmad Bhāgavatam does not contain any kind of material motivated one. It propounds the highest truth, distinguished from the reality, distinguish reality from illusion. Highest truth. Vedyam vastavam atra vastu sivadam. Highest truth. And this is for exalted audience. It is meant for exalted audience, pure in heart, free from envy. Those who are pure in heart, free from envy, they can understand, they can assimilate Bhagavatam. And who is the speaker? What is the transformational effect? It uproots the threefold of misery. As soon as we hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, all the threefold of miseries, Adhyatmic, Adidaivic, Adibhautik, that will be uprooted. And it is sufficient for God realization. There is no need of any other Shastra. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Mahamuni Kirte, it is compiled by the Mahamuni, great sage Vyasadeva, in his maturity. So Vyasadeva is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. So in his maturity, he compiled this under the instruction of his spiritual master Narada Muni. So therefore it is said that Kimba Parair Ishwara, there is no need of Kimba Parair, means there is no need of any other scriptures. Only you study Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, only you hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. It is sufficient for self-realization. Prabhupada said that our knowledge is up to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. If we know Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, we know Krishna, we know everything. Therefore, it is a natural commentary of Vedanta Sutra, Brahma Sutra. So there is a comparison here. What is the need of any other scripture? And another transformational effect is that if we hear attentively, submissively, what will happen? Ishwara sadhya hude avaruddhyate atra kirtivi sususrivi tatakyanat. If one attentively and submissively hear the message of Bhagavatam, Supreme Lord is established within the heart. So Lord is established means Lord is manifested in the heart. As I told you, the glory of Bhagavatam, sadasebya Bhagavatam katha iti, Bhagavatam iti katha, asya sravana matrena hari chitam samsrayate. We are supposed to take shelter of Hari. Hari will come and take shelter in our heart, manifest in our heart. This is another transformational effect or characteristic of hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. This establishes the glories of Bhagavatam. And in the third verses in this theme, it is further establishing this glories of Bhagavatam and inviting everyone that you see this, how great this Bhagavatam. How great the Bhagavatam, what a great quality, characteristic of Bhagavatam, what a transformational effect of Bhagavatam. Therefore, it inviting, the author Vyasadeva is inviting everyone, whether you are liberated, non-liberated, you come and release this Bhagavatam. Because it's a nectarian juice. Everybody likes to drink juice. So it is said that Nigama Kalpatarul Galitam Phalam Sukhamukad Amrita Darbya Samjutam Pivatam Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhurao Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuko. Nigama means Vedas. Vedas is like a tree, desiring tree. Vedic literature. Vedic literature is like a tree. It has so many fruits are there. Somebody wants to become Brahma. The Veda means knowledge. The knowledge is there. Somebody wants to become Indra. Knowledge is there. Somebody wants to get a good wife, good husband. Somebody wants to have good, strength, beauty, fame. All these things, everything is there in Veda. Every knowledge, it contains every knowledge. Solution for everything. But if someone wants the love of God, somebody wants to develop the love for God, then he has to approach one beautiful fruits of Veda. That is called Bhagavatam. The mature fruit, the ripened fruit of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, ripened fruit of Vedas, the Vedic tree. That is called Śrīmad Bhagavatam. And it is more relishable. That fruit is ripened. That means it is very tasty. But when the fruit is touched by the parrot, it is more tastier. So this Bhagavatam, the matured or ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge, is touched by the parrot. Who is that parrot? Sukadeva Goswami. Because it emanates from the lips of Sukadeva Goswami. It makes it sweeter and appealing to all class of people to assimilate. All class of people, whether he is liberated, non-liberated. Simply by hearing. Even in Padma Purana, it is said that a ghost, Dhundukari, a ghost actually, by hearing the Bhagavatam, he got liberated. What to speak about the human being? So every class of people. So that was a story. Sometimes we have a time we can, I will speak, because the Kumara spoke to Narad Muni about the glories of Bhagavatam. So he was citing a beautiful story of Bhagavatam. Dhundukari one. So Atmaram, Dhundukari, Dhundulu. So I will be speaking this one, maybe second session tomorrow, next Sunday. So in invitation to release, the speaker invite the audience to release the nectarian juice of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, which is already releasable for all, including liberated soul. So he's inviting everybody, please come and release this one. So in this way, these three verses, which is very, very important verses, first chapter in Canto 1, chapter 1, the first three verses, which is prelude to Śrīmad Bhagavatam, invocation prayer, they're very, very important verses. We just touched and went, because it will take long time even to cultivate that, to understand these verses very well. So you can check the purport, you can read the purport of Srila Prabhupada, very, very big purport. So I made it very gist way, very succinct way, summarize it so that easy to understand. So first verse is about the characteristic and nature of absolute truth. Second one is establishing glories of Bhagavatam. Third one also establishing the glories of Bhagavatam, glories and characteristic of Bhagavatam. Then we can go to the second theme, setting scene. Setting scene means where the sages are assembled at Naimasana. As I told you that at the end of the Aparajyuga, when Kali Yuga is approaching, all these 88,000 sages, they were assembled as a place called Naimasarana. In India also it is still there, Naimasarana. If you go to the North India, in Delhi, near Delhi it is there, these places. In that places, everybody has been assembled there. For 1,000 years, they are doing the fire sacrifice, understanding that the Kali Yuga is approaching and it is very miserable world. So for precaution, they were doing all this, yajna. That time, the Sutta Goswami, he approached there. In the holy places of Naimasana, the great sages headed by sage Saunoka assembled to perform great 1,000-year sacrifice. So in Naimasarana, particularly why these places, important of the places is there. Prabhupada has written that Brahma, the engineer of this particular universe, contemplated a great wheel which could enclose the universe. That hub of this great circle was fixed at a particular place known as Naimasarana. And similarly, in another reference is there, the forest of Naimasarana in Bhara Purana, it is written that the performance of sacrifice at this place is very important, because strength of demoniac people is curtailed or reduced. Because Kali Yuga is all about demoniac mentality. Kali Yuga, the demons are there in the same place, in our heart, in our mind. So to curtail this demoniac mentality of the people, the Naimasarana place is very good. So therefore they were assembled there to do the fire sacrifice, and later they stopped the fire sacrifice and hear the Śrīmad Bhagavatam. So this great sage always anxious to good to people in general, because sages are very much paropakari. They are concerned about others, suffering people. So Saunoka Rishi, headed by Saunoka Rishi, they assembled the holy places of Naimasarana. and they were doing all the thing for the peace and prosperity of the Kali Yuga. That time Sutta Goswami came, and they were offering seat to the Sutta Goswami, because you are the great sage, you are elevated sage, you are a great exalted sages, you've heard this Bhagavatam, so they have offered the elevated seat that is called Vyasasana. So Vyasasana to Sutta Goswami, and they wanted to hear Bhagavatam from Sutta Goswami. So this is all this beginning, just a setting scene actually. And the Sutta Goswami, what he is doing, the Sutta Goswami is, after being offered the Vyasasana, just like we start the Bhagavatam offering the prayer to our spiritual masters, similarly Sutta Goswami offered the prayer to the Sukadev Goswami, his spiritual master. So because Sutta Goswami heard it from Sukadev Goswami. So therefore it is said that one must learn the transcendental subject matter by submissive oral reception from the right source. Therefore the sages address the speaker Sutta Goswami with great respect. They given a very great respect to Sutta Goswami, because he is the authority of Bhagavatam that time. So they want to hear from Bhagavatam, hear Bhagavatam from Sutta Goswami. So this is all the setting scene. Then after that, the qualification of Sutta Goswami. This is very important. To speak Bhagavatam is not just an ordinary thing. Sutta Goswami is first qualification is that free from all kind of vices, spotless in character, particularly the four major vices in Kali Yuga: illicit connection with women, animal slaughter, intoxication, speculative gambling of all sorts. Therefore, in our movement, we give up meat eating, we give up intoxication, we give up all this, illicit sex, we give up this gambling. The four vices, four principles, four pillars of sins. One cannot speak Bhagavatam if they have four vices. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada introduced, according to injunction of the Shastra, that one should be free from these four vices. And also second qualification is that must also be well versed in revealed scripture or in Vedas or supplementary literature like Puranas, history like Mahabharata, Ramayana. So only to speak Bhagavatam, one must be well versed in the scriptural things. Otherwise, one cannot speak Bhagavatam. It's very difficult to speak because Bhagavatam is very complex. There's so much comprehensive things are there, complex things to understand, to assimilate. So our thing is that although we are not qualified, because whatever we are speaking based on this Prabhupada, and Prabhupada is a Vedantist, Bhakti and Vedantist. He is a pure devotee. His knowledge is very good. He is a very authority of speaking Bhagavatam. So we just repeat his purport in a very concise way. This is our qualification, to just, as Prabhupada ordered us, that you just follow my purport, crack the purport and speak in your language. So this is the thing. So therefore, Bhagavatam cannot be spoken if both two things are not, you are not qualified for two things. And to hear and explain them is more important than reading them. Many of the people trying to read Bhagavatam, but they don't understand, because it is not meant for to read. Reading is not, you cannot, first of all, you have to hear and explain. Do not read alone. We cannot assimilate it. So Prabhupada is writing that to hear and explain them is more important than reading them, because assimilation is very important. Information is fine, you can read, get information, but to assimilate it, the knowledge, to realize this knowledge, to understand properly, digest this knowledge, one has to not only hear, also explain it, speak. Hearing is called Sravanam, explaining is called Kirtana. Two processes of Sravana and Kirtana are primary importance to progress in spiritual life. Only one has properly grasped the transcendental knowledge. Assimilate means grasp this transcendental knowledge, the essence of this Bhagavatam, from the right source, by submissive hearing, can properly explain the subject. So when you speak of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, one must be first of all hear from Prabhupada purport, very, very scrutinizingly, very attentively, and very submissively what Prabhupada is wanted to convey this message. in the purport. Then we can concise it and present it, explain it. Then it would be a very right source, authentic source. It is essential, therefore, a disciple be very much obedient and submissive to a bona fide spiritual master. And the secret of success in spiritual life in satisfying spiritual master, thereby getting his sincere blessing. Jasya prasada bhagavat prasada, jasya prasada nagati kutapi. Jasya deve para bhakti jatha deve tatha guru. Tasyati katitai arthat prakasante mahatmana. To understand the purport of spiritual master, a purport of the Shastras, purport of Bhagavatam, one must surrender to the spiritual master. One must have an unflinching faith of Supreme Lord and spiritual master. Jasya deve para bhakti jatha deve tatha guru. Otherwise, many people are reading Bhagavatam. Not all of them are assimilating this Bhagavatam properly. Unless one is very unflinching faith and very submissively, sincerely trying to understand the transcendental message of Bhagavatam from the purport or from the spiritual master, who is very difficult to understand itself. It's very difficult to understand. Bhagavatam is not like it, that easy. So this is the qualification of Sutta Goswami. Therefore, Sutta Goswami was able to repeat the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which is spoken by Sukadev Goswami originally. What he heard from Sukadev Goswami, spiritual master, originally. So the fourth one is that, qualification is there. Then what is that? Fifth one. Yeah, the fifth one, the next theme is that question by the sages. This is entire chapter 1 is 4 themes. So we will recap it. Let us finish this one. Question by sages. The sages started questioning. When Sutta Goswami, when they have offered a seat of Vyasasana to Sutta Goswami and wanted to hear Bhagavatam, so they put the question here. When they desired to hear about Krishna Katha, so they put 6 questions. What are the 6 questions? What is the absolute ultimate good for people in general? This is a very important question. Everybody should know what is the ultimate good, what is the Shreya, Saram, Pumsam Ekantana Shreyas. What is the Ekantana Shreya? What is the ultimate good for the people? Unless we know what is our ultimate good, then we cannot progress, we cannot be successful in our life, we cannot attain perfection in our life. Even in material life also we should know that what is the ultimate good. Supposing I am working in a particular things, I should know what is the ultimate good. How can I achieve success? Spirituality also, in spiritual also is there. So here it is said that what is the absolute and ultimate good for the people in general? This is the first question. And second question, what is the essence of all scripture? So let us go to first question. Before we go to first question, what is the absolute and ultimate good for people in general? This question is answered in the second chapter. In next session, we will address it. That is called bhakti. Savai punsam paro dharma jato bhakti radokyaja. Savai punsam paro dharma means what is the ultimate good, ultimate dharma, ultimate religion, ultimate occupational duty of human being. Savai dharma, savai punsam paro dharma jato bhakti radokyaja. Bhakti adokyaja means Krishna. So bhakti is the highest good and ultimate good, absolute good for people in general. That is answered in second chapter. And the next question is what is the essence of all scripture? That is also bhakti. Bhakti is the essence of all scripture. That is the cream. How to attain the bhakti for Krishna? That is the essence of all scripture. All scripture is addressing one point. That how to ahituki apratiyata jadatma srupasidati. Savai punsam paro dharma jato bhakti radokyacha. Ahituki apratiyata jadatma srupasidati. Bhagavate uttama bhakti, how to you should attain this bhakti, that is the essence of all scriptures. So we will learn this answer of the question elaborately in the second chapter. In this chapter also, there is one thing has been spoken by the Sutta Goswami, that shortcoming of people in Kali Yuga. Because in Kali Yuga, people are short lives. Manda sumanda mataya prayana alpaisu sabya kalau asmi yugedana manda sumanda mataya manda bhagya upadita. What are the shortcoming? They are very short lives. In this age, people are not living more than 100 years. In Satya Yuga, they are 100,000. Tretya Yuga, 10,000. Dwapara Yuga, 1,000. Kali Yuga, 100 years. Now also not 100 years. COVID, 20 years. Just recently, we had an earthquake in Syria and Turkey. Children also died. So short lives, alpa ayusha. Why we have short lives? Normally, we should live 100 years. But why the life is very short in this age of Kali? Because insufficient food, irregular habit, overeating, over sense gratification, over dependence on another mercy, artificial standard of living. So because of this artificial standard of living, the vitality of human energy or duration life is certain. But we are supposed to live 100 years. And people of this age are very lazy. They are very, very lazy for, not materially lazy. Materially, they are very, very active. They are going morning, getting up, going to office, coming back. But spiritual realization, they are very, very lazy. Why they are very lazy? Because our education system. Our education system is so bad that there is no such, curriculum for the self-realization. No such curriculum that teaches us or that makes us to learn or desire for spiritual realization. Even though they are being taught about the Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita, but they are misguided by so many unscrupulous teachers, imposters. They're misdirected. And also people are disturbed. So many disturbances, so many diversion. There are iPhone, WhatsApp, Facebook, so and so for cinema, TV, sports, gambling, political things. All these things are disturbances, deviating, distraction. And people are unfortunate because this age of Kali is very condemned. So in this way, this age is very difficult to know all the scriptural study. Therefore, the sages, they are asking, what is the essence? We do not want to know the deep or profound knowledge of all scripture. We want only the essence of all scriptures. Essence of all scriptures. So in this way, they are asking the two questions. And after that, they are asking the third question. The third question, why the personality of Godhead appeared in the womb of Devaki? Devakayam Vasudevascha Jatajascha Chikririshyaha. So he's asking why the personality, what is the reason of, what is the purpose of the Supreme Lord appeared in the womb of Devaki? That will be explained in the second chapter. Then sages are expressed their eagerness to hear. That is the qualification of hearing Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is not for, as I told you, the audience of this Bhagavatam must be very exalted. Because unless we have an eagerness, Prabhupada is written, condition for hearing transcendental message of absolute truth are set forth herein. First condition is that audience must be very sincere and eager to hear. People have no patience to hear, no eagerness to hear Bhagavatam. They cannot understand, they cannot assimilate. Because by hearing only and by speaking and hearing Krishna Katha or Bhagavatam, one is uplifted actually. Therefore, here sages, good qualification of those sages in Naimisarana, they are very eager to hear. Therefore, they are asking questions. I want to hear about Bhagavatam, about Krishna Katha. Because Krishna Katha is so potent. The name of the Lord is so potent. It is said that apanna samsitam ghoram yannama vivesya ginantaha sadda vimuchyate. Yan nama vivasya grantha sadda vimuchyate yad vivati swayam bhayam. The potency of name, Lord name is that fear personified fears. Lord has deposited all his spiritual potency in his name. Fear personified fear himself by his name. So therefore anyone can take advantages of the holy name of the Krishna, even in the midst of great danger. So therefore these sages are very eager to hear that personality of Godhead. His name itself is so powerful. What to speak about his, all the pastime and all. Although name and pastime is non-different from the Lord himself. Nama Chintamani Krishna sa Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Abhinatva Nama Namina. Non-different. Punya Suddha Nitya Mukta. Therefore, they are very eager to hear. And who will not hear the narration of the glories of the Lord? Again, it is said that the person who is very eager and very sincere, they will be inclined to hear Bhagavatam. But the person who is not who is not so much, who is full of vices, who is not so much exalted, so much sincere, they will not like to hear this Bhagavatam. And particularly you should hear in a disciplic succession. Why disciplic succession? We are hearing the Bhagavatam from Srila Prabhupada. Why Prabhupada? Because when you hear from the disciplic succession under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master, then this reading of or hearing of Bhagavatam is complete, and it will be really acting, really effective. Therefore, it is said that this pure devotee is better than even in Ganges water. In Ganges water, you may take bath regularly, then we can purify. But by simply seeing the pure devotee or hear from them, you can derive more benefit and immediately than taking bath in Ganges water. Therefore, it is said that yet pada sansraya sutta munaya prasannamayana sadhya punnanti pasrita sodhani apa anusavaya. Simply by hearing in the disciplic succession, one can easily get all the benefit and go back to Godhead. So then later on it is said that who will not hear the narration of the glories to overcome the vices? Age of Kali, most people are very, quarrelsome, and they are not interested in the self-realization or progress, and they are constantly frustrated. Therefore, here hint is given that if you want really actual peace, one must hear this Bhagavatam. Because the Bhagavatam is there, it will overcome all the vices. All this insurmountable intricacy of material nature of the world can be overcome simply by hearing. Therefore, it is said that who this person, who the fools, Kava Bhagavatasya, who the fool will not hear Bhagavatam? Because Bhagavatam is meant to overcome all the vices, all the insurmountable complexity of this material world. Age of Kali, particularly this age of Kali, is very condemned, very unfortunate age, very abominable age, very abhorrent age, very unfortunate age. Everybody is frustrated. Little misunderstanding, there is a quarrel. It's the age of dissension, discrepancy, debilitating age, devastating age of Kali. And who this fool will not hear Bhagavatam? Because by hearing Bhagavatam, it can overcome all this insurmountable complexity, complicacy of this age, unfortunate age. So then, and the next fourth question asked by sages that please narrate all the magnificent and gracious activities of the Lord performs in relation to creating the material and spiritual world. That is about the Purusha Avatara. Karan Dakhyasai Vishnu, Garbha Dakhyasai Vishnu, all these three Vishnu is there, Hiro Dakhyasai Vishnu. So how the all material manifestation has been created, so that is Purusha Avataras. So that has been described in second chapter. Second and third chapter actually. Third chapter is described actually. Second chapter it is described. And next question is fifth question, auspicious narration of transcendental pastime of incarnation of Supreme Lord. So Lord has so many incarnations. So many in asankhya, Hari hi asankhya, avatara hi asankhya Hari. Advaitam achutyam ananta rupam. Advaitam achutyam anadir ananta rupam. Lord has so many expansions, so many incarnations of the Lord. So please narrate that incarnation of the Lord. So many avatara. Like Matsya avatar, Kesavadita, Meena Sarira, Kesavadita, Kurma Sarira, Kesavadita, Narahari Rupa, Sukara Rupa, Narahari Rupa. So many avatara, asankhya avatara. The prominent incarnations has been described in Bhāgavatam. So we will study that one. So, but out of all avatara, they are all part and parcel or expansion of original avatara, the Supreme Lord Krishna. It is stated that in chapter 3, Etachamsa kalapumsa Krishna tu Bhagavana soyam. Indrani bakulam lokam mihanti Indrari muhanti, sorry. Etachamsa kalapumsa Krishna tu Bhagavana soyam. Indrani bakulam lokam murdante juge juge. So every time he manifested, it comes as the incarnation. But Krishna is the fountainhead of all incarnation. So all the transcendental pastime of incarnation of Supreme Lord has been described, narrated. So this is the question, fifth question asked. The last question asked was that, where has the religion taken shelter after Krishna has departed to his own abode? So here, the sixth question has been given that when Krishna departed, wind off his all this transcendental pastime, Krishna comes with religions, dharma sanstapana arthaya. When Krishna has departed, where this religion went? Where the religion takes shelter? So here to answer this, we will study in chapter 3, 1-343. It is said that Krishna sodhamo upagate dharma adibishaha kalau nastadristam esam punaraka adhuna uditam. In Kali Yuga, to show the light, to show the wisdom, to show the realization, the religion takes shelter in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is the shelter of all this religious principle. Therefore, it is very important to hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So this is all about the chapter 1. We have covered the chapter 1, sixth question. We will have a recap of all the things. So let us recap all the things. First of all, we have studied. Let me go to the theme. So first things we studied the prelude to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. That is the first 3 verses, invocation prayer. That what is the nature, who is the absolute truth, what is the nature and characteristic of the absolute truth. Absolute truth is the Vasudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudeva means son of Vasudeva, Krishna. Krishna is the absolute truth. And what is his characteristic? He is cause of all causes. He is the cause of all causes, means he is the cause of maintenance, cause of creation, cause of maintenance, cause of destruction. And he is aware of all, indirectly, directly aware of all his manifestation, all his creation, all his maintenance, all his everything is aware of that, directly or indirectly. Just like a chief engineer, he is aware of all the things, although he is not personally participate in construction work. Then, what is the third point? Third point is that he is supremely independent, because there is no cause beyond him. Therefore, he is supremely independent. What is the fourth characteristic? He has imparted this knowledge to Brahma. Brahma is secondary creation, not first. So he imparted this Vedic knowledge to Brahma. And all the sages and great personality, demigods, sorry, all the demigods, Surya means demigods, they are placed into illusion. They do not know Krishna. So they are placed into illusion. He is absolute truth. He is not to be taken as a temporary manifestation. He is different from the temporary reality, relative truth. And he is always exist in his own abode, transcendental abode, Golokadham. And he is the supreme absolute truth. He is free from all illusion. So in this way, the characteristic has been given. And also the second, third verses establishes the glorification of Bhāgavatam. Bhāgavatam is rejecting all motivated religion. It is establishing the highest truth, which is distinguished from this illusion. What is the highest truth? Highest truth is the exclusive devotion. It contains the subject matter of exclusive devotion to Krishna. And it is heard by exalted audience, like who is completely free from all vices, free from envy, and completely pure in heart. And this Bhagavatam is compiled by these great sages called Srila Vyasadeva. As soon as we hear it, immediately Krishna will manifest in our heart. And there is no other scripture we need to read. It is sufficient for self-realization. This is what we read about. And in third verse, we have read that it's a Nigama Kalpataru, it's a ripened fruit or mature fruit of Vedic tree. And it is also emanated from the lips of Sukadev Goswami, exalted says. Therefore, it is more sweeter. And therefore, it invites every classes of people come and release this nectarian juice of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. This is about the prelude of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam or invocation prayer. The second theme is the setting scene. The setting scene means all the sages assembled and they are doing fire sacrifice. Sutta Goswami came, they approached to Sutta Goswami, offered the Vyasasana. They want to hear, they are eager to hear about Krishna Katha. The third theme is qualification of Sutta Goswami. A speaker qualification, he must be free from vices, all the four kind of regulative principles, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling, no meat eating, all the four things. And another thing is that he must be well versed in scripture. Otherwise, he cannot speak. Bhagavatam is very complex. Then question by sages. Now everything is set. Sutta Goswami has already sit in the Vyasasana. The sages are already sitting down and they are asking question, because you have to ask the question to the speaker so that speaker can respond it. That is the conversation between speaker and the audience. So audience, just like Parikshit Maharaj is asking question, then only Sukadev started speaking the Bhagavatam. Parikshit asking question, Miya Manam. Similarly, sages are asking question, initially 6 questions. What is the 6th question? What is the ultimate good for the people? First question. Second question is that what is the essence of all scriptures? Because people have no time. In Kali Yuga, people are very disturbed. They are not interested and they have no time also, short lives. So please let us know what is the, concisely thematic study. Actually, it is real thematic question. So they want thematic answers. They do not want all deep answer, comprehensive, elaborate answer. They want what is the essence of all scripture, what is the ultimate good people in general. Then why the personality of Godhead Krishna appeared in womb of Devaki, and why what are the magnificent activities Supreme Lord did in order to create this material world. Because everybody in night we see that, oh, so many stars, so many so many stars are there, so many so how it is created, what is the origin of all the creation? So there is a question always being asked. Thoughtful men always ask the question. The answer has been given in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Then also transcendental pastime of the all incarnation of Supreme Lord. What are the incarnation and what are the activities in this incarnation and why he has come? So all this question has been asked in that particular question. And the nature, and last question is that where does the religion take shelter after Krishna has departed to his own abode? Krishna is the father of all religion. When he departed means religion also departed. But Krishna is very, very, what you say, magnanimous, very much munificent. He is very much merciful, extremely merciful. So for the Kali Yuga, the people in Kali Yuga, to give the direction to the age of Kali, particularly the people are not so self-realized soul. For them, or to give them proper direction, Krishna has appeared as a Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So that means religion has taken shelter in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So that by hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, these people in this age of Kali will take the direction and make their life successful. This is all about the chapter 1. So we will go to next chapter in the next session, second chapter. Second chapter we will go. Second chapter also start with the invocation of prayer. Then first 2 questions are answered. First 2 questions answered and first 4 questions in answer. 5th and 6th answered in 3rd chapter. Question 1, 2, 3, 4. They are being answered in the 2nd chapter. So we will study that in the 2nd session. So thank you very much. If you have any question, any doubt on this today's session, so let us know. So this Bhagavatam is very little bit of complex study as compared to Bhagavad Gita. So we have to be very patient, submissive and sincere. But when you hear it, slowly, we will release this Bhagavatam. It's very, very interesting to hear the Bhagavatam. As we go forward and hear the Krishna Katha, that how Lord has created, what are the incarnation, his pastime, it is very, very releasable. Therefore, in the beginning only, the author Srila Vyasadeva say, it is very releasable, nectarian juices for all classes of people. But one has to be very patient and sincere. So thank you very much. If we have anybody has any question, please increase the font size for easy reading. Yes, I'll increase it, because in slide, if I increase the font size, it will not occupy, it will not accommodate it. Therefore, but anyway, I will send it. And while showing, I will increase this font size. So I think I read somewhere it is now found that it is in very beginning of introduction to Bhagavatam. The conception of God and the conception of absolute truth are not on the same level. Śrīmad Bhagavatam hits on this target of absolute conception of God and can control, whereas conception of absolute indicates Swaranambanam. This is a very important point actually. Yeah. This is not here. This is spoken by the Prabhupada in his lecture actually. This is Dimitri Prabhu is asking a very important question. The conception of God and conception of absolute truth. See, here the speaker is using the word absolute truth. Absolute truth and God is different. God is controller. We may be called God. I am controlling my family. I am controlling few people in my profession, occupation. The God can be, we are maybe small God controlling. But he is not the supreme controller. When you say absolute truth, that means he is the supreme controller. He is supreme controller of everything. So the absolute truth and God is different. One may be God, controller. Bill Gates is controlling his Microsoft. Ambani is controlling Reliance. The Prime Minister is controlling something. A team captain is controlling his team. But they are not supreme controller. But when you say absolute truth, he is the supreme controller. Therefore, Janmadesya Jataha is the cause of all causes. He is the supreme Satyam Paramadimahi, Parama Satya. Yes, I am God, means controller of my family, or Bill Gates is controller of the Microsoft. It is the truth, but it is a relative truth. It is not absolute truth. He is not supreme controller. Supreme controller is the supreme, is the control of all control. They know nothing beyond that. Therefore, this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, the very beginning, establishing that the absolute truth. Who is that absolute truth? Who is the cause of all causes? Who is the control of all controllers? Supreme controller. Janmadesya Jataha Satyam Paramadimahi. It's a very, very, very good question, this one. Thank you, Dimitri Prabhu, for this.
Yes, Prabhu, but we can say that Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Prabhupada always refers. So if God is equal to absolute truth is equal to Krishna, then we are okay. I mean,
now you see, the reference is that when you say God, means normally it is controller. But if we are referring Krishna is God, means we are referring his absolute truth.
Right.
That is absolute, then it is fine, absolute truth. But if we go to technicality of the word God and absolute truth, then we should have that decipher all the things, the technicality, deduce that one. God is means controller, Krishna is the absolute supreme controller. Ishvara Parama Krishna. Ishvara means controller, God. But here Brahmaji also said that he would have said that Ishvara Bhagavan is Ishvara. Ishvara Parama Ishvara. Parama Ishvara. He is still supreme controller. Particularly, he used the word Parameshwar because sometimes people may take it, oh God, everybody God. Even Narada Muni sometimes says Bhagavan Narada. Bhagavan also say to some exalted personality. So what is the difference? They may be addressed as Bhagavan because of exalted character and they are representative of this Lord. But they are not the supreme cause of all causes. Therefore, immediately the first thing this Bhagavatam, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam say that Janmadesya Jataha. Sir, the characteristic of absolute truth, he must be supreme controller. He must be supreme cause of all causes. Therefore, Brahmaji is starting Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sachidananda, Anadiri Adiri Govinda, Anadiri Adiri. He's putting this word Anadiri Adiri. So when Prabhupada always mentions Krishna is God, that means here referring he is the supreme God. Therefore, we particularly the supreme personality of Godhead, it is coined by the Prabhupada. The particular English word is coined by Prabhupada. Because on the base of the Shastra, because he is absolute truth. Therefore, his name is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Where you can find that Godhead in the English dictionary. This is Acharya's. He knows that. Because you cannot put the absolute truth, people may not understand what is called absolute truth, absolute truth, absolute truth. Then Prabhupada made it very easy to understand. Godhead means head of all God, head of all controller, is supreme God. And he is not impersonal. Therefore, it's supreme personality of Godhead, his person, Sachidananda Vigraha. His supreme person. He is not impersonal. Although there is different aspect of God. As we go to second chapter, we can learn that the different aspect of the God. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti sabdyate. Different aspect of God is like his impersonal Brahman, his localized Paramatma, his supreme personality of God. But supreme personality of God is highest realization. Is the complete understanding of the God. All others are partial manifestation or partial understanding of the absolute truth. So this technicality is there. It's a good question to know is more about that, what is the thing. But when you refer to God means we refer to supreme controller. If you refer to Krishna as God means is absolute truth. Nobody. Asama Urdha. He is Asama Urdha. Mataha Parataram Nanyam Kinchida. There is no controller beyond him. Nobody equal and more than that. Asama Urdha. Asama means not equal. Urdha means above him. Natasya karanam karanam cha vidyate, natas samascha adikasya dushyate, parasya sakti vivideva shruyate. Swabhiki, what is that? Bala kriya.
Jnana Bala Kriya.
Jnana Bala kriya. Three things is important: knowledge, strength, and action. The three things is even in material things also we need three things. So automatically the three things is working. Parasya Sakti Vivideva. So nobody is equal to him. Natasya. So this is the thing. So therefore he is the absolute truth. So therefore the very excellent question by Dimtripo. Thank you very much. Yeah. And if you have no question, I will stop here and I will send this things to all of you. So is it easy to understand? I have already included the little bit of glories of Bhagavatam, important verses. Apart from this, I have already said. So in this way, you can easily grasp this one. And after properly grasping this then, and we can also explain to others. So that is whole idea of conducting these classes so that we can assimilate ourselves. And more you understand it, more and more you purify, more and more also you explain it. As Prabhupada says that hearing and explaining to others also very important. So thank you very much. If anybody have any questions?
I do have one question, Prabhu. Thank you for the class. But you stated that you can't just accumulate all this knowledge without assimilating it.
Yes.
So I don't have any books to go around to do book distribution. So do I just write notes and try to assimilate by just explaining it in my own words, or
Yes,
or
yes.
like that?
Excellent question. So I will show you that how this is assimilation is actually spoken by the Prabhupada in 1:116. I've showed you that one has to assimilate this one. And this is purport by Prabhupada, actually, how to assimilate this. This is in the 1:116. So here I will show you these verses in this screen. So, and in another places also, what is the process of assimilating? It is stated in these beautiful verses that who is there desiring deliverance from the vices age of cholera, who is not willing to hear the. So in this purport, Prabhupada, they say that this assimilation is very important. Check 1:116. Yes. Yes. In this purport of 1 to 1:118, 1:18. So here it is Prabhupada is written. I am little bit of yes, the Prabhupada will purport. He has given purport Prabhupada. So he is writing this one. So I have this important purport. So therefore I have make a notes that to hear and explain while 1:118, while giving the eligibility of explaining the eligibility of a speaker Bhagavatam. So here it is given that Prabhupada is given the purport to hear and explain them is more important than reading them. One can assimilate the knowledge of the revealed scripture only by hearing and explaining. Hearing is called. So now your question is that how the process of assimilation. That is stated in the beautiful verses of Bhagavatam, in very important verses in the Bhagavatam. That is in 12th chapter 3, 12:3:18. So 12:3. Sorry, where this verses. In these beautiful verses. Vaishnavanam Priya. Let me check. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Vaishnavanam Priya. 12:3:16. Sorry. In this beautiful verse 12:3:16, 12:13:16. So in these verses, it is very nicely spoken that how we can assimilate, the process of assimilating this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priya. When people, ordinarily people claim that I am Vaishnavas, I am devotee, but the symptom is that he must be, the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is must be dear to this Vaishnavas. Then only he is called as Vaishnava. Jasmin Paramansam Ekam Amalam Jnanam Paramagyate Tatra Jnana Vairaga Bhakti Sittam Naiskryama Viskrita. See, it is there in this line, it is stated that Tas Sravana Supathanam Vicharanam Para Bhakta Bhimsadinara. So how to assimilate this one? It is stated in Bhagavatam itself. How to assimilate it is stated here that anyone who seriously tries to understand Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, who properly hears, chants with devotion. Actually, the exact meaning, because it's not translated by Prabhupada, but Prabhupada translated in another places. Here it is stated that Sravanam. How to understand Sravanam means first principle of understanding or assimilating Bhagavatam is hearing. Then Supathanam. Supathanam means properly chanting, or Pathanam means studying. Just like we go to college. First of all, we hear from professor. Prabhupada has given this verses explanation in somewhere else. That we go to professor or teachers in school or professor in college. So first things we do that we hear. Attentively hear it. Then Supathanam means study. Pathana means study. Pathana, Pathana. Pathana means actually study. Study means make notes. Make notes of the essence of this one, whatever we have heard it. Vicharana Paro. Then serious about understanding means when you go to college, we hear from professor in a session or in a class, then we take notes, go home and revise it, contemplate it. Vicharana means contemplate it. trying to understand, trying to crack the purport, what is there in purport. And with seriousness, means with devotion, bhakti means devotion. That is the way we should assimilate. The process of assimilating is here, given in Bhagavatam itself. So first hearing, studying means making notes. Prabhupada said that if we are not making notes of Bhagavatam, that means actually we are not hearing anything. Because here our memory power in this particular age, in 12th canto, it is stated that our memory power is not so strong, is not a tenacious memory. So we have to make a notes of whatever we are hearing. Then we have to contemplate on this essence, what are the notes, whatever they hear, whatever I have heard it. Just like I am presenting this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Everything is there in whatever I'm presenting this slide is based on the whatever I've taken notes from the Srila Prabhupada purport and his classes. Different purport, not particular, but different, because the same verses, same theme has been described in different places. So the important things I have to hear and make a notes and contemplate what is actually the meaning of this purport of this Prabhupada, explanation. Then I have to explain. So the same way we should assimilate it, the Bhagavatam. And once we have studied this one, hearing, making notes, contemplating, and also speaking, study also the two things. Patana also to study and also to speak, explain or chanting. So once you study, make notes, everything, and contemplate, then chant also, explain it, then everything will constitute as a assimilation of particular thing. Everything, Bhagavad Gita, every scripture, first thing is hearing and proper understanding, that is called assimilation, then absorption, then dissemination. Dissemination means, absorption means acting in our life or putting into action. And third one is dissemination means preaching whatever we have or explaining. That three things constitute of that, we have to proper understanding of scriptures. So this is important. Thus, Ravanam, Supathanam, Vicharanam Paro. Hope Manu Prabhu, hope this one is clear. Manu Prabhu, yeah, very good question. This one, how to assimilate it? Yes, yeah.
It was very clear how we have to not only read but write notes and then contemplate what is the meaning behind all this message, correct?
Yes, precisely, yes.
Okay.
Precisely. Otherwise, we do not make notes. So Prabhupada always say, now, where is your notes? Because if you do not make notes of all the things, whatever you're hearing, so we will forget it, because we do not have tenacious memory, particularly in this age of Kali. So we should make notes, not only make notes, just Prabhupada used to say, just like we go to college and we have to contemplate on this, that what is this, what is the crack, the purport, then we can explain it. Because without assimilation, it is difficult to explain also.
I've noticed that myself. Like
No. Everybody, all of us are trying our best to assimilate Prabhupada's purport. That is whole idea. So this whole purpose of this conducting classes is not only for all of you, for me also. I am getting so much of assimilations. So therefore, it is always win-win situation. Not only for the speaker, it is stated that this Bhagavatam, when it is hearing, it is purifying both the speaker, inquirer, everybody. It is beautiful verses. You can see here that Vasudeva Katha Prasna Purusam Trin Punnatihi Vaktraram Prachakam Srotrim Tat Pada Salilam Jatha. The Ganges emanating from the toe of Lord Vishnu purify the three worlds, the upper, middle, lower planetary system. Similarly, when one asks question about the pastime characteristic of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, three varieties of men are purified: the speaker, preacher, and he who inquires, and the people in general who listen. So all this, everybody is get benefited by this. Not only this speaker or those who are listener or the inquirer, everybody. That is the quality of this Bhagavatam, quality of Krishna Katha. So this is thank you very much for this question, and thank you very much for attending the classes and all.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's very nice to take
There is so many verses in this regarding this hearing about this Krishna Katha in so many places also. And later, and sometimes I will send you something like, so in so many places it has been described that the importance of hearing this. Here also you can see one verses here that, my Lord, those pious and saintly person who in the age of Kali hear about your transcendental activities and glorify them will easily cross over the darkness of the earth. So very, very important for the particularly in the age of Kali to hear the transcendental activities and glorify them, so that easily cross over the darkness. Our whole idea, our whole purpose or aim of the life, goal of life is to cross over the darkness of the age. So this Bhagavatam, Prabhupada always given more important to hear about Bhagavatam. Because Bhagavatam teaches us, they become full of narration of transcendental activities of the Lord. Now in second chapter onward, when the question has been answered, question of sages answered by Sutta Goswami, there's so many explanation of the activities of the Lord, his Purusha Avatara, how he created the world, so many incarnation of the Lord. These are very, very purifying actually, purifying. So this is the process we can easily, particularly in this age of Kali, cross over the darkness of the age. So this is very important. Therefore, it is said that those who are pious and saintly person, particularly in this age, they are always eager to hear about the transcendental activities, to glorify them. So that it's an express way to Godhead. Hearing is the Prabhupada said that hearing is the express way to Godhead. All other way will take time, but it's the express way. More you hear, more you become, everything else will be, adjusted, chanting, service, everything. So that is the thing. So thank you very much. We will continue our session to next session. Next session onwards will be more good because it's all the pastimes of the Lord, second, third, fourth, like this, it will go. So it's a flow actually. So we will go through all the chapters, and I will send these notes also. We can go through all the notes based on the Prabhupada purport and lecture. Main points has been, it's a very succinct, very concise way, so that easy for us to understand and assimilate. Thank you very much. All goes to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Ganthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.